Hey guys, Hector here. This is another segment of Evolution of a Superhero, and today we're going to talk about the mighty Thor. This guy is a cool dude. He recently starred in the Avengers, and then he had a movie before then, and this is the original Thor. This is the Thor that everybody's familiar with when he first came out, written by the great Stan Lee, drawn by the amazing Jack Kirby. Hey guys, was this drawn by Jack Kirby specifically?
You tell me, I don't know.
Okay, I think it was because it has lumpy Kirby fingers, as you notice here, but this is the old school Thor style. It's very early 60s Marvel, in the Marvel manner. And eventually, this superhero evolved into what we know today. But let's talk about how he got there, okay? So, at one point in the 80s, Thor was taken over by a writer and artist. He did double duty, Walter Simonson. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
Awesome, thanks.
Sure.
Walter Simonson had a really cool angular style, if you want to talk about the art for a little bit.
I don't.
And, okay,
I
and
do.
a lot of people caught on to it. A lot of people really dug it. And eventually his contributions to the story were very epic. They went back to the Norse mythology. And eventually he brought in a character that's very popular to this day, Beta Ray Bill.
Looks like a horse.
He is a horse. He's a space horse, Matt, a space horse, who eventually became a supporting character in the story of Thor. He's, like Matt just said, a horse from space. He's not a, wait, I think he's a robot. He might have been a robot. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that this is an alien that eventually became worthy enough to sustain the power of Thor. So Thor's dad, Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins in the movie, awesome Anthony Hopkins, gave him his own hammer and his own power similar to Thor. So he became known as Beta Ray Bill. And his
Different hammer.
yeah, it's a different looking hammer because it's different than Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer.
Does Thor look different?
Because he kept evolving. So then we get to the 90s, I think. This is 1995, circa 1995. Thor looks weird. He looks like a jacked up Fabio on some steroids, missing pieces of his shirt. He has weird armor. Everybody in the 90s had armor, whether or not they needed it. And I don't know, I guess you could consider this one of the low points of Thor, would you guys say?
I like it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Matt.
No, you don't.
So then later on, I think also in the 90s, they introduced another character, eventually became known as Thunderstrike, but he's like a separate entity who got the power of Thor while Thor was on a break or dead or something. I forget. It doesn't matter. But this is a new guy.
He doesn't look like a horse.
I think his name was something Masterson. No, he looks like...
No, it's Chris Hemsworth. He's Thor.
No, it's
Eric
not Chris
Masterson.
Hemsworth. It's Eric Masterson from that. Is it Eric Masterson?
Yes.
Okay, I'm thinking
Chris
of
Masterson.
I'm thinking of Danny Masterson from that '70s show. Eric Masterson became Thor for a little while. He had a cool sleeveless, like leather sleeve, vest thing. And again, got his own hammer. Odin gave him his own hammer later when the original Thor came back, and then I think he died. Thunderstrike. I don't know, or he's around today. He's dead. He got killed off. But then, best part. For a little while, Thor was dead. After the 90s, early 2000s, he died in something called Ragnarok, which is a cycle of death and rebirth in the Asgardian. It doesn't matter. The point is he died. So they decided to bring him back. Why? Because they were coming out with a movie eventually. So they hired a writer by the name of J. Michael Straczynski, took a hold of Thor and did an awesome thing with it. He brought him back in a really cool, creative way. And the art was awesome. It was done by Oliver Coipel. I think that's how you say his name, right? What's that? Coipel? Really? That's not right.
Like French.
But you should check this out if you want to learn more about Thor. I highly recommend it. It is awesome. Talking about Thor, you got to talk about Loki. Loki has some of his best moments in this story. Loki, his evil half-brother, you know him, played by Tom Hiddleston in the movie and in the Avengers. He is a badass in this. Really, really check it out. Really cool. They brought Loki up to the level of other supervillains like the Joker or like Magneto. Because before he was always just kind of the ticked off, little brother or something. But then he eventually really came onto his own.
Does Thor fight the Joker? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, why? Why am I friends with you guys? You guys are the worst people.
I never said we were.
All right, okay.
Talk about Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth is...
I don't care anymore.
Okay, thanks, guys. So this was the evolution of a superhero. If you have any... But remember, if you... This is the evolution of a superhero, but don't take my word for it. But